before we get started here, I just want to give a shout out to my guys, Jay and Bilal over at the Baller Island Podcast. I was on their podcast this week, so give them a shout. They drop on Wednesdays, so their episode should be out by the time that you're listening to this. So go check that out and definitely give them a follow and download.
And make sure when you're watching that you drink a fizzy water with it.
Yeah,
they don't have videos, so you're not gonna see me drop a bunch of cans and stuff. Yeah, no, that's insider information. We're just gonna end it off there.
I feel like it's been a while since we recorded last, or at least since I recorded last in this last position. I've been to a Leaf game. I've gone home. I've gone to a wedding. Shout out Jordan Emma. I didn't see it. I've experienced torrential downpour. You guys experienced more of the tornado aspect here in Ontario with a power outage. Poor Seabash, your laptop got fried. And now we're seeing there was a Pat Bev tour. We got trades coming. We had the draft lottery that's happened. And the NBA has turned from the National Basketball Association to the National Blowout Association. It seems like every single game, at least in this round, there's been a blowout, and it's competitive basketball, but it's really not competitive basketball. It's competitive basketball in the series, but in terms of the game, it's not. Because if you look at the Celtics and the Heat, tied 2-2 at this current moment, but these games have not really been close by any means.
No. It's really just a ping pong match, a tennis match of back and forth. So who's blowing out who, kind of basically. It's like, oh, we're playing at home today. Today's our turn. That's just kind of like, it's gonna be kind of boring.
Told you not to bring up Pat Bev, bro. Told you not to bring up.
Well, we're not gonna let you. We're not gonna let you go on your rant, but I will bring it over to your guy Jimmy. I mean, this is why I have, a lot of confidence in the Boston Celtics, because when Jimmy's not going, that Miami Heat team is really not good. I mean, you had to rely on Oladipo to get you 20 points last game, and they still lost.
To be fair, looking at it, nobody really got going that game.
Yeah. The
whole team was kind of...
Now give me your breakdowns, because that game was the day of the wedding. So again, we tried to watch it. We had propped the phone up on the defibrillator in the lobby. The dance was going on in the main center of the wedding, of the reception hall. But we're basketball fans. There's a lot of guys there that are big into basketball. A huge Celtics fan there as well. So we had to watch our stuff. But Chris, what did you see in that game?
Which one was that? The Saturday or the last
Saturday one? Yeah.
Happened? Okay. The Saturday one, man. What I saw was a dominating performance from Bam Adebayo.
Oh, bro.
This guy showed up. This guy showed up for a game. He said, "I'm here to play today."
He was wearing his watch that day, eh?
Yeah, he came ready because obviously Jimmy didn't play because of what he suffered a little bit of like inflammation in the knee, something like that. So he was out pretty quick. And you had floor general Kyle Lowry running some stuff, doing his Kyle Lowry thing, keeping everybody motivated.
Yeah,
and the wins coming. So
from what I've seen,
you had old reliable PJ Tucker.
From what I've seen with Kyle Lowry, the Miami Heat looks a little better when they don't have him on the court, and I can tell he's not at 100%. So maybe that's why. But they look a lot better without him on the court.
Yeah, but like as Tobias would say, sometimes it's those intangibles, those unmeasurable things that make a difference. Yeah. And it's those intangibles that he brings to the court that I think help them squeeze out that dub.
Right.
But, I don't think he brought it with them on the Monday.
No, definitely not. And Steve Ash, I'll let you touch on that game, but I mean, I'm just looking at that box score, and here's the starters, what the points they brought. 9 for Bam Adebayo on 3 for 5 shooting. Jimmy, 3 for 14, had 6 points. Kyle Lowry had 3 points on 1 for 6 shooting. PJ and Max Strus, both 0. Max Strus had one of those Tony Snell type games, just zeros across the board.
I know.
Steve Ash, what was your breakdown on that?
My guy Max Strus getting his cardio in, getting that body ready for the summer. But
yeah.
My takeaways from that game, I had a lot of takeaways actually, and my biggest takeaway was just how much they were shut down in the first quarter. They had 1 point scored by a Bam Adebayo free throw up to the 5-minute mark. And then they didn't get a bucket until the 3-minute mark by Victor Oladipo coming in. At some point in the second quarter, I think it was 3 minutes left, they had 26 points scored as a team, and 16 of them was from Victor Oladipo. So altogether, it was just terrible performance by them. And I think that Celtics, they just came out, they did their thing. They started playing some drop coverage, and they were able to just bait them to shoot. But those guys are just not ready to shoot. And going to your Kyle Lowry point, I think they should not be playing Kyle Lowry right now. I think Kyle Lowry should come off the bench, put in Gabe Vincent, let him get the team going, and then bring in Kyle Lowry at the end.
Yeah, he's been playing nice, especially as a facilitator. You know, you're right, Chris. You do want those intangibles, and Kyle Lowry does bring stuff that goes beyond the stat sheet. You're totally right. He brings that dog energy, like I like to say all the time. But, you know, I think putting him in a more limited role, kind of actually like they're doing with Victor Oladipo, might be better for the Miami Heat and might be better for Kyle Lowry's production. So that was the Heat the past couple games. Now, Chris, what are your thoughts on the Boston Celtics so far? Because I know you've been fading the Celtics so far this postseason. Hasn't worked out the best for you. However, like we said, the series is currently tied as we're recording. The game is tonight. The series is currently tied at 2-2. What have you been seeing from the Celtics?
Honestly, just classic streaky Celtics. That's really it. It's like, it's just a constant back and forth. The thing is, and I was talking with my friends on the Saturday, when it comes to the Boston Celtics, you're not getting the same Boston Celtics every night. You're either getting a very hot Boston Celtics and everybody and anybody's hitting their shots, or you're getting a very cold Boston Celtics and it's maybe just one player carrying that team and nobody else. They couldn't hit water if they jumped out of a boat, like some of those guys. So, I don't know.
But they have been able to score, though. And that's something that Miami hasn't been able to do.
They've been able to. Yeah, fair. But then at the same time, too, it's like, again, the series tied 2-2. First game, 118-107. Second game, Boston had the blowout 127-102. And the other time it was Miami 109-103 kind of thing. And a lot of those times, like, Miami was blowing out the Celtics back. And then it's, again, they just take their foot off the gas pedal at some point, and then it allows any team to potentially come back. Like, you know, looking at last night's game, the Warriors almost did it with the Mavs, and they've actually already done it several times to them throughout this playoff series. So I think it's, if teams just get comfortable with that lead and they don't finish through right to the end, like, you're gonna allow for a comeback, and like that score is gonna look a lot closer than really like it should have been.
Yeah, as soon as you take your foot off the gas pedal, you know, teams aren't going to quit, especially in the playoffs. Teams are going to keep going. I mean, like, the Warriors were down by 30 points or something almost last night. They obviously did
29.
They did lose the game, but they came back. I mean, you know, it was pretty close. So
I think it was like a 5 or 6 point game at one point. So
Sivash, you look like you want to say something over there. I'll lob it up to you, buddy.
No, there was a moment where Chris was like 29 points actually, and I was just listening to our last episode where I was like, yeah, they beat the Suns by 50 points, and Chris was like, no, actually 46. It's just,
you have to be very specific when we talk to Chris.
The numbers,
like, it wasn't 30 points, all right? It was 29.
It was 29. We're gonna round. Hey, all I'm gonna say is that it's only because I saw a stat come up on the side, so that's what like ingrained it, that like the Los Angeles Clippers still hold the record for the largest comeback, 31 points.
I mean, I think even this year there was 3 30-point comebacks that they had. So I mean, that's the problem, I guess, for the Warriors last night. They could have beat the Mavericks down 30, but they weren't the right California team. But
it was only LA teams that were on that list. It was like the Clippers first, Lakers, and then the Clippers again tied for like second and third. Or I guess now the Warriors would be up there.
Sivash, what about yourself? What did you see from the Boston Celtics? What do you like so far? What do you dislike? What do you want to see more of?
I think this series has just been relying on their role players. Derek White has been such a hot and cold player. He came out in the first half of last game, and he just was getting buckets. But at this point, you just never know with a player like that. So for me, I just think that if they stick with their main guys, and in this playoffs they have done that and were successful by playing 7 or 8 guys, they are going to be great. Of course, having guys like Robert Williams and Al Horford on the court just makes it tough for anybody going to the paint. And I was just watching Jimmy selling for mid-range shots like it was DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
So in this series, I think if they're able to stick with those guys, they're going to be just fine. They just cannot keep relying on their bench to make something out of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be kind of squeezing them for everything that they have. You know, you got to put your star players have to put yourself in position where you can win games, and then you know those role players, those bench guys, that bench mob pushes you over the edge and allows you to win the game. And just going back to the Heat real quick, the most important player I think on that team, and I think we've kind of acknowledged it already, is Bam Adebayo. If Bam's not going, then it's like, okay, what is going on? And you know, I did see a meme the other day. It was like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like Bam whenever he sees Robert Williams check in or be announced that he's playing in the game tonight. Because when Robert Williams has been on the court, Bam is a shell of himself, and it sucks because, of course, going back to the bubble, we saw that matchup between Boston and Miami, that fingertip block that Bam had on Jason Tatum, and I was expecting, you know, Chris, our early pick of the year, defensive player of the year guy in Bam Adebayo to be that defensive anchor, and it doesn't look like he's been the same guy in this series.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, you look at a guy like Robert Williams, his impact in the paint is just insane. The whole team is just scared of attacking the paint with him or Al Horford in the paint. So I do think they got to go to Bam more. And the way I was watching the first quarter of that last game, the way they had the offense set up, it just makes it easy for the Celtics to just help and clutter the paint so they can't get anything. They got to set it up so they can get Bam going to the paint. So they have to let off some of the shooters, and they got to bring in a guy that will shoot. And I will say Kyle Lowry has been a bit hesitant to just shoot it. He just tries to get to the basket a little bit more, get something going. I think they need somebody that's just going to shoot it without even thinking about it.
Yeah. And Max Strus has been that guy at times. He's been spraying from 3, but again, there's just too much inconsistency there for sure. They need that 7.
0 for 7 is crazy.
Yeah, just the old Tony Snell line.
Happens.
Yeah. Okay, let's slide over to the Western Conference and let's talk about the series that's a bit more fresh onto the mind. Obviously, the game happened last night, the Golden State Warriors versus the Dallas Mavericks. This could have been a sweep. Maybe Golden State said we want to, go win it back at home. I don't know. But Golden State is poised to go to another NBA Finals. Really, they were already a dynasty, but really kind of extending that longevity of this team, of this organization, and of the career that is, Steph Curry. Totally, completely impressed with him. As I've admitted before, early on I was not a Steph fan. I've become to appreciate this guy so much. He's such a great talent. But Steve, Ash, let me know what you're thinking of this series, and maybe we're foreshadowing. Maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves. But as we all know, the 3-1 comeback is very hard to accomplish. But let us know what you think.
The 3-1 is definitely hard to accomplish, but what the Mavs are about to do is a 3-0 comeback. And that's even harder to a certain extent. It has never been done.
That's true.
So I still want to ride with Chris's guy, Luka Doncic, and I kind of want to see this happen because why not? But
you picked Golden State though, didn't you?
I did. And
Okay.
I want them to go to the finals, but I don't want Luka to go out like this. I want a little bit of chaos. Let's see them figure out some things, and at least make it like a 5 or 6 game series. So
Sure.
At this point, what I've seen the first 3 games was the Warriors were getting anything they wanted in the paint. And that just was looking disgusting. I mean, in game 3, Wiggins had 10 shots in the paint. It was just crazy, right? So for me, all I'm looking at was going into game 4, they got to make an adjustment. They got to look into that, at least make it difficult for them to get to the paint. And they did that. And because of that, they were able to at least stop them and slow them down a little bit. At some point, they were up by 29. And from there, they were, they of course kept it close. And one thing I will say, it didn't go without the help of the bench. In game 3, they had shot 13 of 45.
Yeah.
Last night, I believe they shot 17 of 22 from the 3. 20 of 43 from 3. So having those shots going, finally guys like Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith making those shots, I think that was a big help for them winning that game.
Bless you, Chris.
Bless you, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, I think first of all, and I'll let Chris talk about this or respond to this because I feel like he might be upset that I'm not really attacking his guy, but more congratulating a fellow Canadian for getting his ministry license. I mean, Andrew Wiggins taking people to church, baptizing Luka Doncic. I was very impressed by Maple Jordan yamming on Luka, but Chris,
I wouldn't even call it a yam. If you look at the camera angles as he's blowing by,
okay.
You get the push off and boom, a dunk. Okay, a dunk on is what.
Yeah.
No,
this is the 7 stages of grief. We're in denial.
No. A dunk on somebody is what Anthony Edwards did to Yuta. Like, he took Yuta.
Acceptance is another level. So he's at his acceptance with.
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins dunked next to Luka. Okay. Luka's momentum carried him this way as Andrews carried him forward. I'm sure there's some physics equation that I could probably bust out for you guys.
You should
to let you know that it's just, but we won't get into that right now. Where it's a basketball podcast.
Chris Nye, the science guy.
Chris is a poster denier out here. He's talking about the science of how it wasn't a poster, how it was only 5% of his body under him. Like, Chris, get the fuck out of here.
Neil deGrasse Panette
dunked on his arm.
Neil deGrasse
dunked on his arm. And then you have Luka obviously trying he's trying to sell that it was an offensive foul. Couldn't get the sell.
It's just
that's what I'm saying about
it's like a child being baptized. Really the water sprinkled over.
What is this? That's how you baptize.
The water sprinkled over. The water sprinkled over.
Like
Salt Bay. Like Salt Bay. Yeah.
But that's okay. You know what? Everybody can have their moment to shine. That's fine. Wiggins is gonna need that. That's good.
What a season by Wiggins.
He's still late. Yeah, Wiggins did have a really good season.
All-star starter. He's about to win the conference MVP, the Magic Johnson Award, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And, going to the finals, knowing Steph, he's probably going to lose that finals MVP too. So Wiggins probably the next man up.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to get that too.
Yeah. That'd be very impressive. A championship, a finals MVP, a Western Conference. Yeah, that'd be unreal. For Andrew Wiggins, Canadian. But yeah, like I was asking Chris, what's your takeaway on this series so far? Obviously, you took the Mavs to win. Not impossible, but not likely. So just give us your breakdown of what you're seeing.
I mean, the Mavs should, if anything, it should be 3-2 for the Mavs right now. But again, they've let 2 games slip out. Well, you know what I mean. It should, whatever. The Mavs should be up, but they've let 2 games that they should have had won. Come on. Just let it slip away. All right? Because it's what? That other game was a game 2?
Yeah. They were all
the Mavs they're up big at half. And then it's like they went into the locker room, and then it's either the commissioner themselves walked in and was like, hey, guys. We got a narrative here that we need to
conspiracy.
Play.
Now there's a conspiracy pod. Oh my.
I don't know, because I just want to know what happened. How did you drop 40 points in the second quarter and then come out to only drop 13 points in the third?
You know what it was, in my opinion? It's
what is that?
It's youth. It's inexperience. And they're still young. Luka's still young. He's going to be back here. He's going to be in an NBA Finals, but this is a veteran team, right? The same sort of thing that we saw against the Grizzlies. This is a veteran team that knows what it takes, that's been there before, that's been down. They'll be back. The Mavericks will be back. Trust in that, but not without some growing and, again, some consistent shots from the role players. Maxi Kleber, who in the second round against the Utah Jazz was draining buckets from 3. He's been very inconsistent so far in this series. Some game he'll put up 5 3, some games he'll put up goose eggs. So I guess Dorian Finney-Smith has probably been the next best guy.
Listen, man,
Yeah.
you already know what happened. The Warriors, as they always do, went to the locker room at the half, and they had, I'm going to make a reference to one of our favorite movies here, not mine, but one of our favorite movies. They had Michael's secret stuff in a bottle.
True. That's true.
And they came out and they started,
It's just
raining
water,
in
bro.
threes.
It's just water, folks. That's all it was. It's a placebo effect.
You're right, it was.
So,
They said that in the movie.
Because Mark Jackson is still talking about how it's a holy water. That's a reference. Oh my God, that's a reference you guys did not get because Mark Jackson was Jehovah's Witness and he was trying to praise that onto the players and then he got fired.
Yeah, reasonably so. Yeah, I mean, the series has been great. I've liked it again. I can't speak highly enough about Steph. I'm just so impressed, and I want to continue to see him go on and kind of cement his legacy. And speaking of legacy, Kendrick Perkins was talking about, if Steph wins this championship this year and wins the Finals MVP, he cements himself into that basketball Mount Rushmore alongside Michael, LeBron, and Kareem. So Steph would be that fourth head. Chris, what's your thoughts on that? We don't need to get, too quickly into the Mount Rushmore conversation. But I remember us talking earlier this year about, after Steph had passed Ray Allen for the all-time threes, where he sits in that ranking. And I don't know if we ever really got in depth into it, but I was kind of saying, okay, yeah, he's in that top 10. For me, he gets into that top 10. What does Steph winning another NBA championship and potentially a Finals MVP, what does that do for his legacy for you?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess it would definitely thrust Steph lower into like the list. Yeah, he would definitely move up that list. So like top tens and whatnot. Probably maybe even bumping Kobe higher up now. Kobe's taking the move.
You saying he's going up in the list? Bumping Kobe?
Maybe Kobe's sitting at 7, 8 now.
No, you said bumping him higher up, so meaning like he's not top 4?
Oh. Kobe's never been top 4, brother. Get out of here. Kobe's not even top 5.
Yeah, stop.
I'm not. I'm just telling you guys again. Like, don't make me pull up the RDC thing. All right, you guys are dick riding. Like, get off this man's dick.
So does
stop. Like, anyways.
What?
Like,
he wins another one. Yeah, I think it's obviously going to add to any guy's kind of like resume.
Does he bump Shaq out of your top 5? I guess is what I'm asking.
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not.
So what does he need to do to surpass Shaq? Because what does he have right now, Steve Ash? Does he have 3 or does he have 4? He has 3, right?
Right now he has 3 championships, no Finals MVP.
Correct.
And he has 2 MVPs. And what do you mean, Rob? Which one?
I think he had Finals MVP. Come on.
Which one do you think
deserved
he was
at least
robbed of?
one? I don't know. They always talk about how he was screwed over on one. I think probably one of the ones that KD got, he probably should have gotten. But he also has I think 2 scoring titles. I think he joins. I heard this stat. I think he joins an elite company. I think LeBron, Michael. I'm probably forgetting someone else. Yeah, I definitely am forgetting someone else. And probably Kareem actually in multiple MVPs, multiple championships, and multiple scoring titles. So what does he need to do, Chris? What does Steph Curry need to do to surpass Shaquille O'Neal in your top 5, your personal top
5? Personally, I don't really think there's like much Steph can like really do. Shaq was just too dominant, brother. Too dominant in his career, too dominant in his style of play. Whereas like, until Steph got everybody else who's around him now, and yes, the Warriors were built, like not bought, like kind of thing, and that's the whole thing. But it's like, you're playing with your entire career has almost been with all-star players, like alongside of you. Like your top 4 players on your team, all-stars every year, almost basically.
Wait, I zoned out there. Are you talking about Steph?
I'm talking about Steph, brother. Steph. You got Clay. You have
when
Durant.
Shaq played with Kobe. and he won his 3.
That was
and played
that
with
was
Dwayne
that was
Wade.
that was Shaq's team, not Kobe's team though. When Shaq was playing with
That
the
was Steph's
Lakers.
team, wasn't
You
it?
take Shaq off of that team. Kobe.
I'm sorry. I
awful
literally
what you did.
zoned out because of the wording of what you said. Because you were like, he can't do anything to surpass Shaq. And then I was like, wait, what is he talking? And then I zoned back in, and then you were like, he's played with All-Stars. Chris, let's not do this, bro. 2 things.
Okay,
Two
brother.
things.
All right.
Two
Yeah,
things.
you asked for my thing. I gave you my thing. So here, we'll lob it back up to you. See,
No,
go
no.
ahead. You take
Let's
it.
do
Okay, so Chris, what do you?
What if Steph has?
Quote, okay,
What if Steph has like
nothing,
the next greatest
nothing.
5 years? What if he gets like 3 MVPs, 3 more championships? He's still gonna not have.
I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that's gonna happen. Steph's not Steph. He's not Steph of old. He's not doing that in the next 5 years, brother. But yeah, that's my take. So
Okay, Steve Ash, for you, what about yourself? Like, where does Steph? If he does win this championship this year, I'm kind of pulling for the Celtics. I've liked their system. I'm a big fan of Jason Tatum. But if Steph does win a championship this year and he wins a Finals MVP, where does he sit for you? Now, I don't know where he is now or where he was before on the list. Before this season for you. But if he does get these accolades this year, where does he move for you? Does he move?
Don't want to have a specific ranking for him off the
Sure.
top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's outside top 10 for me, but
Yeah.
even if he wins it, he doesn't. It's not like a biggest step for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think what he has done, it doesn't really show up on the stats.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at KD winning those Finals MVPs, when you look at KD dropping those crazy playoff games all those years that they were together, Steph never really had that because Steph was getting guarded
Yeah.
like crazy.
We
So,
saw that picture,
of
right?
course
We
there
always
was
reference
somebody-
it. KD over here and 3 guys on Steph.
Exactly. So that gravity cannot be put into stats in that situation. And that's the reason KD was dropping crazy games every time he was playing in Golden State. So I just don't know. I have a hard time putting him somewhere in the top 7. I think the top 7 is pretty much solidified. You got guys like Wilt, you got guys like Bill Russell, Shaq, then Kobe. And, when you get to that, it's tough for me to look at somebody like Steph, who has a great career, who is probably top 2 greatest point guards. I just won't let that one championship take him up that much.
Yeah, I feel you. I think Kendrick was kind of premature in saying that he goes into that top 4 Mount Rushmore. Again, maybe that's not even his top 4 all time, but as we've talked about with athletes across the board, maybe he meant more so the impact that those players have had on the game, right? Obviously, Mike and LeBron had huge impacts on the game today, and as well as Kareem, such a dominant player, and then Steph adding to that. Maybe he wasn't saying that he was in his top 4. I don't know. For me, I think I'm on page with you, Seabash. And again, Chris, I don't know where you currently have him, but I think for me, he's kind of is a weird anomaly. He's done so much, but I don't know if I have him top 10. I could have him probably anywhere between 8 and 11, 8 and 12. He's so good. He's so talented. And I mentioned it multiple times. I was a Steph hater for a long time because we would go, the Clippers would go head to head against him. And I was like, yo, fuck this fucking guy. Like, I'm so rattled with him because you couldn't guard him. You're like, this guy's shooting from the logo. Like, it's such a piss off. But you just have to, especially in the past couple of years, for me at least, you have to look at him and just be like, he's doing this by himself and he's still so fucking good. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, he's still getting guarded when he's got no Clay, no KD. Wiggins was still early into that system. But, just all in all, a great talent. But against the Dallas Mavericks, again, I just think it's that veteran, that leadership, that we've been here before type of attitude that will propel them into the NBA Finals.
And I think they got less of that whole just... When you look at the Suns, they were just ready to break down and lose that whole series. They almost did it against the Pelicans. Against Chris's guy, Brandon Ingram. They were just ready to break down and just lose that series. But in this matchup, I think the Warriors are so much more mentally ready for this. And they got more bodies that are just ready to go at it if they were ever able to break down. When you look at a guy like Klay Thompson, he's just ready to shoot no matter what. He does not care. He's gonna pop it. He just doesn't care. Pause, by the way, on the pop it.
And that's why I kind of want to like, I would like the Warriors to just win it the next game or whatever, but I kind of want to see another Game 6 Klay. So I wouldn't be upset if the Golden State Warriors stretched it to Game 6. Obviously, the legend of the Game 6 Klay.
Look, man, I'm still rooting for Chris's guy, Hookah, man. I want this series to go to 7 games here. Mm-hmm. If it can, it'll be great. And on the other side, whatever, if the Celtics get through, I don't really want Boston to win. It's just part of me just seeing that Boston fans getting all the wins over the years. I just don't like their fans. They got the football, they got the hockey, they got the baseball. Let's just, let them dry out on the basketball.
they've been dry since what 08 or whatever the last year they won.
They're holding on to that so hard still. It's like, dude, let it go. It's 1 year. Jesus.
That's true. So we talked about the current matchups that are ongoing. Obviously, they're still ongoing. The next video we'll likely be doing our NBA Finals predictions, whoever those two teams are. But as I mentioned off the top, since the last time we recorded, I feel like there's been a lot that's happened. We've had the draft lottery and whatnot, and some more trades have come to the forefront. Obviously, there's more DeAndre Ayton news. It looks pretty much inevitable that he's going to be gone to another team in the offseason. But I want to talk about these draft picks because I feel like more than ever before, the top 10 or top 15 draft picks, there's a lot of teams that are willing to maybe move on from some of the picks. I think Orlando at number 1 is probably going to keep theirs, but even a team like Sacramento at 4, I wonder what a team at 7, the Portland Trailblazers, what they do. So going into the draft, Chris, I want to ask you, I'll start with you first, and maybe pull up the draft lottery, the top 10 draft lottery, while I'm lobbing this to you. But what team are you, intrigued with? What team do you want to see how they're going to go into the draft lottery? Because this isn't a Zion Williamson level draft. There's not a guy that's far and away, that kind of superstar. Chet's great, but it's pretty deep. The top 6, the top 7 guys, the top 3 are pretty much interchangeable, but after that, up to 7, 8 there's still very good talent. So I'm interested in asking you, who are you interested? Who are you watching going into the draft day?
Honestly, I think we touched on this last time, and I think I said Oklahoma City. Just kind of see what they're gonna do with this now super young squad. Obviously, they're building for the future, so I'd be very interested to see how they're gonna scoop up these new incoming picks and just how they're gonna fit that into their current system, and just see what they're gonna be doing over the next couple of years. 'Cause obviously, they're not expecting anything immediate next year, and probably not even anything the year after that. It's just they're playing the long con, and I respect that.
Yeah. What about you, Seabash? I know you have this passion for another team in California that really has not been successful at all, and they're sitting at 4. Are you gonna be watching them, or are you gonna be watching a different squad on draft day?
No, I think I'll be watching those top 3 teams because of just the top 3 talents that's coming into the draft this year. And Chris makes a good point. I mean, it's a kind of a key draft for the Thunder right here. Yep. I think if they're going to keep, and I don't know what they're going to do with SGA here because he's about to go into his second contract. He's getting to that age where you're just not sure if you want to keep this guy for the long haul while you're just developing other people, or you want to put him away and just get something back for him. So I think it's a really key draft for them right here. And I don't know. It's tough because if they can get a guy like Paolo, I think their timeline can go on with SGA. But if they get a guy like Chet or Jabari, it might be a bit of a bigger project here. And the Kings, I think they should just trade that draft. I just don't want to see anything with the Kings.
Yeah, I agree with you on both ends. I mean, I really think that SGA might be gone. I think he's on a different timeline, even in the past year, but definitely in the past 2 years. I think he's exceeded the Oklahoma City Thunder's their expectations, and as well as the rest of the league's expectations. He's been unreal. I think that the right choice for them is Paolo from Duke. I think Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, and Paolo would be a great 3-pack right there. And then, if you can move SGA and maybe that 12th pick, that could be interesting in what you could get back. With the Kings, I also think that they should be trading as well. I mean, getting Sabonis, as stupid as that was to get rid of Tyrese, getting Sabonis there definitely kind of pushed their timeline up a bit. Okay, it's like now you got De'Aaron Fox, you got Off Night, what's his name? Davion Mitchell, you got Domantas Sabonis. That's his nickname, yeah. Because usually when you're playing against them, offenders have an off night. But yeah, so I think trading that 4th pick would be interesting. But Chris, if you are the Sacramento Kings, just put yourself in those shoes for a second, knowing where your organization sits, the holes that they have in their team. If you're trading that 4th pick, is there a guy that comes to mind or a position that you want to fill? Because for
honestly,
me,
off the top of my head, like I'd have to look into it like really more, because as far as like the Kings go, like I haven't really like followed them or like looked at their team as like a whole to be like, oh, like what are their needs, what's going to be going on with them. So I think at this time I can't really like comment like too well on that.
I will actually lob it back to Chris with this, because there's a lot of rumors about the Raptors interviewing a lot of the top guys in this draft, a lot of lottery guys in this draft. So if the Kings were willing to move away from that pick, or the Blazers, what would be a piece that you would be willing to give up to get another top draft pick to pair with Scotty Barnes here?
That's tough, because like,
I know OG is our guy here, but
I think he's the biggest
I couldn't
piece.
see
Him
it.
and Gary Trent are the biggest pieces, I think.
I couldn't see them moving away from Gary Trent and OG, just because again, it's like you traded to get Gary Trent. Like OG is part of like your new core, essentially. So why are you gonna dismantle that? And like it's okay, understandable. Like you're taking a gamble to bring in one of these like top 10 guys potentially, but we've seen it before. Top 10 guys can also be a bust.
Mm-hmm.
So now you sold something reliable to take a risk on this person, and I don't know.
If I was the Raptors, I know who I would be looking at taking, to be honest with you. If I'm sliding up into a top 5 selection, this guy's talked about how he should and could go number 1 overall, but he's not on a lot of people's radars to go number 1 overall. It's a Canadian kid, Shaden Sharp. He's a guy that plays the 3, the 2, the 3. He's, again, fits into that mold of the Toronto Raptors. He's got the length, the switchability, versatility. He can shoot, he can defend, and he's Canadian, which is, it's cool. I mean, I think, even for me, I'm not even a Raptors fan, but there's always this narrative of let's get Canadian guys to play for the Canadian team, right? People were interested about getting Wiggins on the Raptors, the Pascal for Wiggins swap earlier in the year. There's always been talks about RJ Barrett there. So I think it would be cool to draft a guy that was from Canada to play for Canada. But again, at what expense? What are you giving up from your team? But Shaden Sharp has, high level confidence. Is talking about how he should go number 1 overall. So that would be, I don't think he's going to go number 1 overall, but that would be pretty cool for the Raptors to slide up and get him. But for me, when it comes to the Kings, if I was to trade the pick, I'm interested maybe in what's going on with DeAndre Ayton. Maybe the Suns do a quick little retool. They move away from Chris Paul, with the contract and his age, and maybe they get rid of Ayton. I think that is inevitable. So their core is kind of, splitting up as is. You just bring in that youth, bring in a top 4, top 5 pick. What do you think about that, Siabash? Getting Ayton to the Kings and the top 4 pick to the Phoenix Suns. Because Jaden
Yeah,
Ivey, who's a point guard from Purdue, would probably be sitting at that 4 spot, which would be very interesting for the Phoenix Suns.
yeah. I don't think that's a good pairing with Sabonis in that situation.
Fair.
Sabonis is very much a back to the basket player. Of course, he can shoot, but his comfort zone is more in the paint. And with a guy like that, of course, defensively, you're not the strongest, but you still want to have him in the paint while you space out the rest of the floor. And you let him get his while you can still get him to space it out and shoot from 3.
Mm-hmm.
So the pairing, I don't love it, but I don't know. For me, I would have probably gone with somebody that's maybe a better shooting guard, a small forward, or maybe even a power forward for them. Because I just listed off like 3 out of 5 positions, but when you look at their team, they got Harrison Barnes. Yeah, they got Harrison Barnes at the 3, and they just traded away Buddy and Tyrese Halliburton for the 2. So I just think they need to fill out those positions.
Mm-hmm. I feel you. Yeah, there's a few other, teams that have picks that could possibly be moved. The Cleveland Cavaliers at 14. Obviously, they had an impressive year this year. The Charlotte Hornets at 13 are also an interesting selection. Do they move that? Do they try to push their timeline up, or do they continue with the youth movement? And there was one other pick I saw. Oh, the Portland Trailblazers at number 7. Chris, what are your thoughts on that? What should the Portland Trailblazers be doing? They have the 7th overall pick. They have Dame. I really don't. There's not really a lot of assets after that. They have Anthony Simons, but he could potentially be going to another team this offseason as well. They have Nasir Little, but again, in terms of a big player to really kind of push their organization into another era, they don't have that. So do they keep the 7, or do they try to trade and get an actual player to play alongside Dame?
Honestly, in my opinion, I don't even think Dame should be there anymore, man.
You've been off the Dame train in Portland for a long time.
It's just because I respect Dame, and I just need Dame to respect himself. That's it. That's all I want. But honestly, I would say if they can't keep that spot, maybe use Dame to try to trade up somewhere and maybe move up a little bit, or get like another pick first round, and just maybe start rebuilding like now.
So you're saying take Dame, keep that 7 pick, take Dame, and get another pick for him.
Try to get another pick, get something, and just kind of maybe start retooling, because we've seen Dame play alongside other elite players, and where has that gotten Portland? Literally nowhere. What has that gotten Dame's career? Literally, he won what? Was it Rookie of the Year or something he won?
That's about it.
That one award, and he hasn't won anything else since. And that's not saying Dame's not an elite level player. It's just shit's just not working out for the guy in Portland.
Yeah, and they have said, Dame has said that he's not going to be the one that asks for a trade. If Dame does get moved, it'll be an organization decision. Now, Sivash, as Chris was proposing this idea of Portland moving up, trading Dame and moving up, or getting another top 10 or top 5 pick in the draft, your eyebrows kind of raised. It looked like you were intrigued, or maybe had an idea. Is there a team that you think might entertain that trade?
Yes. I think with the history of this team and what they have done in the past, I just have a hard time not seeing OKC getting involved. And we just talked about SGA, and we talked about how his timeline is not really matching the team. I really don't see how they wouldn't want to trade SGA to the Blazers and then trade away Dame to another team for future draft and some other assets.
Okay, because that was going to be my thing. I was going to be like, well, Dame is older and more... Okay, so you're saying it's just a quick placeholder and then they move away. So maybe a potential 3-way trade we could see?
Yeah, similar to what they did with... I mean, they brought in Al Horford and they had him sitting there, but they got a first-round pick out of it, and they got off the Kemba Walker contract. So, man, I can see... Because, let's be honest, there are a few teams that would love to get Dame here, especially the Knicks. So, if you're a guy... here like Sam Presti, and you're looking at these teams that are hungry for Dame, you could work something here that you can also move on from SGA, get a little younger, give some timeline to Josh Giddey here, still keep your pick, get Paolo or Chet or Jabari, whichever one you're more preferable with, and give them that time to develop. So you're not in this timeline where you're like, I need to get off this shit quick.
And the Knicks do have the 11th pick, so I mean, Portland could even bypass OKC and just call up the New York Knicks as well and see what they want. Because again, I think we've talked about Dame going to the Knicks, a big market guy. Imagine him in MSG for 41 games a season. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. Another team that I want to ask you guys about in the top 10, just behind the Portland Trailblazers, and what are they going to do with their pick? It's a team that we've been excited to watch for a short window in the playoffs, even though their star player was on the bench. The New Orleans Pelicans are sitting at the number 8 spot. Do they go out and they draft the top 10 talent, or do you think they take that pick, take what they saw, this latter half of the year, and go and try to get somebody else? Chris, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, go for it.
Honestly, I would say maybe package off that. Because again, we saw a glimpse with, CJ coming back, and it showed that like the Pelicans, they can be a threat. And you're adding Zion to the mix. So maybe if you kind of use this pick as where they have the 8th, maybe package that off, and maybe you get another impactful player that like you're either going to add to that starting lineup or somebody that's maybe going to be coming off the bench to help support CJ, Zion, Ingram, stuff like that.
That team's going to be real scary. If they flip that for a good guy, like a good star player, that's a scary team.
Exactly. And like that's in the realm of possibilities, because it's like they don't necessarily need that. They still have like young talent that is still going to be there for a little bit. So
And even Herb Jones, you have that guy there. I wouldn't trade him, but I mean, just adding him to that mix of young talent. But Siavash, your eyes are kind of wandering. I'm wondering if you have another trade in mind.
See the trade.
Yeah, exactly. Get this guy a GM spot. Yeah.
So salesman C.
Yeah.
Salesman.
No.
No.
Get him up, like just edit a Best Buy shirt on him with a Siavash yellow tag.
You say that because I'm brown?
I knew you were going there.
No, okay, let's get focused.
I mean, you probably got an old red shirt kicking around.
I do.
Basically Best Buy. Best Buy shirts.
Okay, let's get focused here. No, I wouldn't come up with a trade for them. I thought about, for a moment, I'm like, what if they paired Dame and CJ again? But I would not want to see that. I think in this situation, they got a good team, man. They just gotta let Herb Jones do Herb Jones things. Brandon Ingram is coming to his own. CJ is really fitting in that system. For a moment, I also thought about Aiden, but I think Valanciunas definitely outplayed him, so you wouldn't want to go that route anyway. So,
and I don't think it's a bad. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I was just trying to finish. In this situation, you just stick with that pick.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it's a bad idea to stick with the pick. I mean, it's not like we're talking about the Portland Trailblazers that have a 30-plus-year-old in Dame, right? It's not like we're talking about the Lakers that have an older team or guys that are a bit more into their prime. We're talking about Brandon Ingram. I mean, I guess Jonas Valanciunas is the older guy there, but we're talking about guys that are just in that prime window, just in that early window. CJ's a bit older, but like the core, the Zion and the BI and the Herb Jones, like they're still young. So bringing in a top 10 pick, not a bad selection, not a bad idea, and you don't need a top 5 pick to make an impact in the draft. Tyrese Halliburton went 13, right? We've seen guys go the last pick in the draft, the last pick in that first round, and be better than some guys, like you mentioned, Chris, that were drafted in the top 10. So, if you can trust in your organization to make a selection that will impact the team in a good way, you never know. You could do something and it might benefit you next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't rush anything there.
Okay, that's all I have. Did either of you guys want to bring up anything before we close out the podcast? Bueller. Okay, so that's all we have for today. Obviously, the next podcast, the next episode will be our NBA Finals predictions. Will Dallas come back, win in a Game 7, or are they going to be out in the next game? And what's going to happen with the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat? 2-2 series right now. The NBA is now the National Blowout Association, but we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.